Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here in the Woodrow Wilson Room for this, the start of our pre-event ESG Day. I'm sure we'll fill up as we go along, but this first session is a fireside chat and is a part of the Inclusion First track, which is given to you by our sponsors at Verizon. Before I begin, I'd like to thank all of the sponsors for making this event possible. We're joined by a great group of speakers throughout the day, but starting off today, our moderator, Melanie Mingus, who is the editor here at Capacity Media, will be moderating this session. So over to you now, Melanie, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's a very exciting day because we're back here at Live ITW for the first time in 2 years. And it is the first session as well, so thank you so much for joining us. We are speaking today with Valle Ortega, who is the CMO at Telefonica, which is quite a big job. And Valle, you've had a fantastic career that we're going to reflect on today, but in the context of diversity. Now, diversity is an incredibly broad topic. We can't cover it all in only 50 minutes, so we will just home in on a few different elements. But because it's such a broad topic, it does affect all of us, and I'm sure that we've all been touched by this issue over the course of our careers, and also maybe personal lives as well. So if you do have any questions for Valle over the course of the session, you can submit those via Slido, and we'll tackle them at the end of the session. Or if you don't have Slido, you can just put your hand up at the end and we'll try to include you because inclusion is part of the diversity topic. So Valle, to set the scene today, you spoke at Virtual ITW in 2020 on Global Women in Telco and Tech. So first of all, welcome back. It's great to actually have you here live in person. And today, let's begin with your diversity story. Tell us about what's happened and what you've seen over the course of your career. What's been your experience of diversity and inclusion in the telecoms industry?
Thank you, Melanie, and thank you for the invitation, and I'm really happy to be here again, alive, and being able to share this time with all of you. Yeah, of course, I wouldn't like to say that, but I've been for more than 20 years in the telecommunication industry, and I've seen how diversity has changed all along these years. From my personal story, what I can tell you is that I studied telecommunications, which was already a career where there were especially men. We were only 25% of women when I studied that, and we really were dreaming that we could be 50% in the near future because we came from 1 or 2 women studying telecommunications the years before. But it didn't really happen. We will probably talk deeper about that later, but it has come down for these last years to lower rates. When I get into the professional world, when I started working, I met the same situation. We were less women than men, but okay, that was happening at university, so it was like the usual situation for this kind of profession. And I really did never felt that there was any kind of gender difference between men and women. I had a good career in my first years. I became manager, and I didn't feel anything different for me than for the other ones that had came into the company for that time. What happened, or the point of time in which I started to be aware of that situation was when I had my 2 elder kids. I have 3 kids now. Then I realized that I should balance a little bit more my professional and personal life, but I managed to keep the same intensity and kind of work that I had been doing for the last years, but I just needed to balance the times at which I was working. And then I started to realize the situation of women in the in the workplace in our industry, because I started noticing, I noticed that there was a real bias in the companies, by which it was thought that as you were spending more time with your kids, you were not able to have the same intensity at your work, which could be right or probably not. And then I had like two options. Okay, go back, don't spend that time with my kids, and then follow the rules of the game, or start to set my own rules, which were trying to move forward and having those interesting projects and career opportunities by doing things in a different way. And that's the way I proceed for the next years. It has changed a lot, because since that beginning, when I took that decision to now, the whole industry has realized about the relevance of diversity within the organizations. And it has been pushed as a priority for many companies. So these kind of situations have started to change. In fact, there is something that it's like a little funny for me, because when I started my career and you could find women executive in the company, those were women acting as men, as men executives, because they needed to survive in a world that was full of men, and there were very, very few women. And it has changed a lot for these years. You can now find much more women executives in high positions in the companies, and they are acting as women. They are taking their diverse perspective to the table, to the discussions, to the executive committees, and that takes the real enrichment and the real diversity to those companies. What I've learned is that diversity in the workplace only can be led from the society. Mm-hmm. If we don't assume that we all have a role at home, that we all have to take our own responsibilities, and that there is not a woman role and a man role, yeah, then it will be more natural for all of us to understand that women are not losing their time taking care of kids, because men and women will do it, and then it will be a totally different perspective for all of us and for the companies that are trying to pursue this kind of diversity.
Yeah, very much. It was incredibly brave of you to set those boundaries and recognize that work-life balance was so important early on. Can you tell us a little bit more about when your children were younger, how many hours were you working? And maybe for the benefit of people in the audience who maybe aren't mothers, just explain the kind of domestic and childcare responsibilities that you were fitting around such a high-pressure job.
I try to be a mother that is at home, and we try to divide our responsibilities at home also with my husband. We have different roles and different perspectives of what has to be done at home. It's real that many times the kids' agenda is more in my head than in his head. But this week that I'm here and I'm 6 hour difference from home, he's taking everything and everything is working. I mean, it's just a question of being able to establish that relationship in a fair way, and recognizing that we all are responsible for our family, our house, and our kids if you have them. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Let's talk more then about the attitudes that you've encountered, not just outside of work, but also inside of work, and the colleagues, leaders, and others that you've met over this time. How have the awareness and attitudes of those within the industry changed?
it has changed really a lot, as I was saying, from those women acting as men that I could find 20 years ago in the industry, to the real recognition of everyone taking a relevant place into the industry. A lot of work has been done, and all the activity that has happened in the last years in the market and with all the ESG activity, what we have been able is to promote. We have been able to break a little bit that crystal ceiling that women had, because the promotion of women to executive roles within the company is a reality in most of the industry. So it has provided to younger generations with more role models to follow and to understand that they can. There are many different programs that companies are following to promote the women in the workplace, and all of them are making visible a situation that was not, and that is changing with time. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about action next. What kind of actions are you seeing across the industry? And maybe you can tell us as well a little bit about what Telefónica's doing to promote diversity across all different types.
Yeah, first of all, the first relevant thing for the whole industry is to understand the figures. If you don't know how you are, you cannot act over how you want to be. First thing is that we all are providing the figures of how many women, how many executive women, how many middle management women, new hiring, and so on, we have in our companies. It provides a good perspective on how we are, where we are, and where we want to be, which is by the end how you can act over those figures. Once that we have found those figures and set the objectives, all the industry are providing with different actions plans to promote the career for women, and also the integration of younger women into the company, so that they have an established base for them to grow and to be the leaders of the future.
Fantastic. Well, there's clearly a lot of progress being made, and activities like this sound invaluable, which is quite heartwarming given that a lot of the reports and the statistics that we hear around diversity are actually quite negative. But in researching for this session, I did actually find something positive. And there was a report that came out only a few weeks ago, actually, from S&P Global Market Intelligence, which concluded that despite the challenges women in tech continue to face, their overall job satisfaction is actually quite high. 53% of respondents reported that they were very satisfied with the current positions, and 39% were somewhat satisfied. So that's positive. Now, obviously, it's not the case for everybody, and there are still a lot of concerns about what COVID, for example, and the working from home impact will have on women, and it's something that we also cover in the dailies over the course of this week as well. So with all that in mind and the different experiences that are out there, what can be done to safeguard and accelerate the progress that we've seen?
When you go through this study, the three things that make women more satisfied for now within their workplace are first, the flexibility, second, role models that we were talking, and third, their career, the promoting opportunities. 2 years ago, when we were in the middle of COVID and so on, we all discovered that COVID was damaging a lot of women because we all were at home, and then that role of women taking care of the house and the kids and the food and everything was much more intense. And that was making women to take a step back. However, what we see is that COVID has taken flexibility to real, And this is especially with what is letting women now to coordinate their personal and their professional life. This is something that was not here to stay 2 years ago, and it's something that has come to stay. So now it will be more difficult to evaluate people by the time they spend at the office. It's usual to have men and women at home. There is no difference. And then it allows you to coordinate and to balance everything. And men being at home also can take care of some of the activities that need to be done and that were traditionally done by women that were really at home. So I think this is a great thing that COVID has taken to us, and that is one of the reasons why women are more satisfied at work. As we were saying, as companies have been working in breaking that a little bit, the woman ceiling, you can find more role models within the company, so that younger people and or in general can look at them and find that it can happen and that they can fight for it. So that's come to real. And career opportunities are also being promoted also for them, especially when there is a bigger difference. So I think that these 3 reasons have become real, and that is what makes the difference. So we need to work harder in order to make this remain in time.
Okay. Let's take a step back now and talk about routes into the industry, and particularly education. Now, you mentioned you're in education at the start of the session, but if we particularly look at the STEM subjects in higher education, there have been a lot of studies confirming some alarming trends around enrollment rates and the disparities between male and female students, and also students from all different kinds of backgrounds. What do you think needs to happen there to promote STEM subjects and the routes into the telecoms industry?
Yeah, this is one of the biggest challenges that we really face, because according to the UNESCO, only 38% of women of students of STEM careers are girls. When you come to communications or computing engineering, it's 8%, and when you come to engineering in general, it's just 3%. So if we want to be a real diverse industry and to be a reflect of the communities that we serve, we need to start and continue, because I think we all are doing it already, promoting this within the society and especially at the schools. We need to identify why girls are less doesn't like, or they have harder mathematics challenge, why they don't like to study science, and we need to also to make them understand that mathematics and engineering is also very close to human worries. They are not as cold or as far away from feelings. That probably is something that women are looking more when they select the career that they are going to study, and how these STEM careers support the evolving of the well-being of the societies. And this is critical for all of us if we really want to get to a real diverse industry.
Excellent. It's a very interesting perspective. Just a quick reminder for the audience, if you do have questions for VIA for us to tackle at the end of the session, you can submit those via Slido using the QR code that It's right there.
It's right.
So do send your questions in if you have any follow-ups. Now, diversity is a broad topic, but it seems that a natural step from education here is to talk about age as well. Now, this is something that we at Capacity Magazine are hearing more and more about, and it's the issue of attracting younger talent into the industry. What do you see right now, and how big a problem is this?
I think this is coming with gender diversity, one of the biggest problems that we are facing as an industry. What we have been seeing in the last years, I work for the B2B market segment. So what we are seeing is that airlines are becoming software companies. They say, I'm a software company that flies airplanes, okay? Banking are becoming software companies because their connecting way to clients is an app. Any supermarket chain is becoming a software company because they are competing with Amazon and all the companies that have not developed their own online front end for customers have disappeared or will disappear in the next future. So I think there are great news for young people because they have many new companies to apply their studies, what they like, and to work. That's great news. But for us as an industry, this is a real challenge because probably there are not less professionals, but there are a wider offer for them to work at. So it takes us to a situation in which we are competing with different industries that didn't usually attract to these professions, and also, of course, we are competing with the hyperscalers and all these new companies coming also into the scene. And we need to show young people that we are as attractive as all those projects, and this is our real challenge.
So how is the industry going to do this? What would be your advice?
What I can say is that this is not new. I remember when I was ending my career, I didn't want to work for Telefónica or any other carrier. I saw them like old companies, not so fast coming into the projects and so on. But I can say that probably I would have worked in any other technology company, but working for Telefónica, I've worked for global markets, local markets, more than 15 countries. I've lived in 4 different countries. Wow. I've taken many different positions into the business, marketing, strategy, whatever related to business. So, and I'm not sure that I would have had all those opportunities or different projects, or yes, but the real thing is that I've been able to work for like that in this company. We need to create a compelling storytelling. Okay. We need to show that we are transforming societies. We need to explain that we work with technology and that we are able, that we are agile, that we are able to change, to involve young talent with very attractive projects that are top within the industry. And we need to take all this storytelling to universities where finally the students are going to decide what they will do in their future.
Okay, interesting. It is quite, it makes sense for young people to be attracted to these big household names. I'm sure nobody would say no to having that kind of name on your CV. But also these more prominent tech brands have the platform to demonstrate their diversity. And a lot of them, their public image by and large, can be very focused on diversity of all types, whether that's sexuality, race, gender, and they do really publicize that. Now, whether this reflects the reality of working at that company or not is a different story, and that's their problem. But it does seem to be attractive to young people. So to bring the conversation full circle, because we've spoken about role models, gender, age, and of course the business impact of diversity, do you think that perhaps stronger social diversity in telecoms could actually solve this skills shortage in a highly competitive recruitment market?
As our president usually say, we need to be as diverse as the society is. That's the only way we will be able to take our mission, which is working in the society in which we are operating and taking it into the future. We have programs for those kind of diversity, also functional diversity, sexual diversity, racial, whichever diversity is always absolutely welcome, and that's the only way in which we will really serve to society, which is finally our mission.
Excellent. Well, we have quite a few questions coming in from the audience now, so we'll start to work through some of those. Let's talk about mentorship first. Do you have a mentor in your early career at Telefonica?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yes, I think this is one of the most relevant pieces of our professional life. I have a few mentors that help me to take the right decision in some points of times. The main thing to me regarding mentors is that you need to establish a relationship in which you can be really confident and they support you because of your talent and the way that you are approaching projects and developing your activity. So I think this is quite critical to find someone that trusts on you and that supports you in your decision, especially in the beginning of your career, after you find some other ways of moving forward, but yes.
Okay. What part do you think that diversity, equity, and inclusion will play in the growing talent shortage that the industry is facing?
As I was saying, there is a shortage of talent in general in the industry because there are much more companies offering roles for the communications, computing, engineering, and so on. This is critical for us to be attractive, but we also need to push for the women being moving forward to this type of careers. This is the only way in which we will have the perspective of men and women taking part into this industry and being diverse in the innovation and in the taking of decisions. I can speak for Spain at least, and I can say that the university for the engineering in general are always full. I mean, there is not a shortage of people trying to get in. Probably there is a shortage of offering for them to go there. So this is something that needs to be balanced. Again, coming from society, we need to understand that there is this kind of shortage. We need to offer to the students more opportunities to take this kind of studies. And then we need also to promote women to be a bigger part of those students taking this. And I can say that this is not, at least in Spain, you can get into the universities depending on your background when you are at the school. And I can say that this is nothing related to the notes or the qualifications that they get at the school, because the highest qualification in Spain is medicine, and it's 90% of women. So it's a decision of what they study, and they decide to study more humanistic careers than engineering, mathematics, physics, and so on. So we need to make a bigger offer of STEM careers, and we need to show women that there is an opportunity for them to work there and to have a successful career.
Okay. You've spoken about the education part of the journey. Regarding recruitment, what is being done here to promote inclusion and diversity, specifically at Telefonica?
As I think I haven't mentioned, but we have been included for the 5th year in the Bloomberg Gender Diversity Index with a 80% qualification, which is quite high.
Congratulations.
And thank you. We are part of many private and public initiatives, and we, in 2021, have promoted more than 50 programs in order to promote the diversity in entrepreneurship, and also for the STEM careers in all those countries in which we operate. We are really committed with girls. There is an activity that I like a lot, and I used to take my daughter when she was younger, which is a day with the Hackers Women in Telefonica.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they go there and they have a lot of activities regarding whatever, developing an app or whatever, and they can see how these women work in the company and how they can become a reference for them to be there.
Excellent. Well, that brings us pretty much to the end of the questions. Valje, do you have a closing message for our audience today on this topic?
Yes, I would like to, and I think that coming to what we have been discussing, I would like to send a message for women. They can do whatever they want. No one can tell us what we have to do, think, or be. I think that having a mentor is a very good opportunity to learn and to have support in taking your key decision. But also, something that has helped me a lot in these last years is create your network, which doesn't mean having a lot of people to go around and to have social activities, but create your network and build trust, because and talk about the situations that you are going through, because many of the people that probably will be women in that network have already gone through those situations, and how they have gone through it probably will provide you with ideas on how to go through it. So it's a great opportunity, and trust is critical in those kind of networks. And the other message is coming to society. We need to push women into the STEM careers. We need to work this from home. We need to create role models, and we need to be very fair in our own homes in dividing and showing how we all have to contribute in society and also within the family. And finally, third one, for us in the industry, we need to create our storytelling, and we need to show that we are relevant, interesting, and attractive for young talent. Our future is committed. We need to go for it, or we won't have that future that we are looking for.
We have our work cut out.
Yeah.
Valle Ortega, it's been fantastic to talk to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It sounds like there's been a lot of progress made, but there is still a long way to go, especially with new challenges arising all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Valle Ortega.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both, Valle. It was wonderful to hear about your personal insights into inclusion and diversity inside and outside of the workplace. I'd once again like to thank our sponsors who have made this event possible. And I'd like to introduce that the next session, starting at 3 p.m, is a panel focused on sustainable governance within our industry, and we'll be joined by speakers from Caban Systems, Eurofiber, Green Money, Green Mountain, and Involta. So please don't miss out. Thank you, take care, and have a fruitful and enjoyable time in the next few days at ITW.